What's up, everybody, and welcome back to CountryCast. Man, I am excited to do this video today because we are talking about the Yellowstone Season 4 premiere. That's right, Season 4 of Yellowstone finally kicked off on this past Sunday, November 7th, and it was absolutely worth the wait. Fans are now caught up to some degree on what happened to the Duttons and how it went down, but there are still questions looming over who the sender is. And today we are going to recap what we learned about the Duttons and their fate throughout the premiere. So if you are not caught up, you may want to hold off because there will be spoilers ahead. Immediately we learn that John Dutton was on the verge of death on the side of the highway, but his right-hand man Rip saved the day by coordinating a chopper pickup along his route to the hospital with John. Then, after Casey helped coordinate that medevac chopper for his father with Rip, he and fellow law enforcement officers located the blue two-tone van that carried the attackers that were against John Dutton. Casey and his counterparts engaged the van, killing everyone, but unfortunately, Casey was also shot multiple times in the process. Now, what was a total shock was the fact that Beth Dutton lived through the insane blast that occurred at her work building. However, she did suffer from serious burns. The Yellowstone Ranch was also under attack through all of this, but the bunkhouse boys and girls took care of that problem. Jimmy sat in a hospital, fighting the possibility that he could be paralyzed from falling off of the bronc at the end of Season 3. But ultimately, things are looking up for him, and he did make it back to Yellowstone, but he was shipped off by John Dutton after John learned what happened to Jimmy. So don't break a promise to John. Never do that. Jimmy is finding that out the hard way. And finally, we are going to talk about one that I know hit home to a lot of viewers. The scene where we learned that Rip and Beth's forever home was completely demolished and turned to rubble. It's hard to think that there was any good that came from this brutal attack, but it did because all of the Duttons are alive. Now, what about Jamie? Well, yes, he is alive as well, and it seems as though he legitimately did not have anything to do with the attacks. I do have a feeling, though, that his biological father might be using him. As you notice, he was really pushy when Jamie was buying the house and the land that you saw. But obviously, there is a lot still up in the air that we do not know. One thing that's also very interesting is that Rip and Beth have brought in a possible son that they may adopt. Who knows? His name is Carter, which Beth found him outside of the hospital while his father was passing away from heroin overdose. We all know the history with Beth and how she's not capable of having children of her own, so Carter, of course, reminding her of Rip when he was very young, almost to a T, really hit home with her and pulled on her heartstrings, and Rip unexpectedly came home to someone who might be his new adopted son, so we'll see there. So, now that we went through a quick recap of the attacks, let's talk about what's new and what we know. I think we can rule Chief Rainwater and his crew out of the attacks, due to how they handled that asshole, which was in their casino. Market Equities may still have a hand in it, but the new CEO, Caroline Warner, is taking a different approach towards the Duttons. Not so much of in-your-face attacking, but more on the underhanded side. While we're on the topic of Market Equities, I also want to point out probably one of the greatest ways that Rip has ever taken anyone out in this show, and it's the way that he took out Rourke. Rourke was right in his precious little river, fly fishing away, and Rip just shows up with a cooler, and a snake is inside of it. Rip just walks up to him and opens the cooler and throws the snake right in his face, which it does latch and bites Rourke right in the cheek, and Rourke dies from the venom. And of course, Rip walks away like a total badass. So yes, Rourke is dead, and Rip handled that. So there's a lot of season left, and after the conversation that John and Casey had in the hot spring, well, everyone seems to be doomed, and the militia also appears to be who Casey is focused in on behind the attacks. There was a very short conversation about how Beth believes that it was, in fact, Jamie, but Casey seemed pretty positive that it is the militia. So now you have to ask yourself, is Malcolm Beck alive? I mean, that is the crew that he had ties with before when Tate was taken from the ranch. Again, this premiere was worth the wait, and I think we haven't seen nothing yet. But as far as the Duttons, they're alive. Everyone's okay, except for the fact that they have a lot of business to handle, and everyone at the Yellowstone Ranch is okay, and the ranch is still moving forward. John is even putting all of his stock into the rodeo. He wants to be the man they think about when they think of horses. I think there's a lot unfolding here. Guys, I would love to know what you believe will happen next. I can honestly say that I was completely wrong about everything that I believed before, but that's Taylor Sheridan for you, and that's Yellowstone. That's how things roll with this show. So again, guys, let us know what you think down below in the comments. If you are new here to CountryCast, hit that subscribe button as well. Turn those notifications on so you never miss out on any breaking updates surrounding your favorite country artist and all the news coming right out of Music City. And of course, all of your Yellowstone updates. Y'all stay country.